Nobody knows this situation better than our next guest, Scott Presler, the man leading a nationwide cleanup movement. Scott, I'm glad to have you on. I've been a big fan of all the things that you've been doing. I've followed you throughout Baltimore, Los Angeles, San Francisco. I mean, it's something that doesn't go without notice. So, but I want to tell our viewers first, can you explain to them what exactly your movement does?
Sure. Well, I travel across the country going into America's most dangerous and dirtiest cities, doing the job of the government as a private citizen. I'm just tired of people talking with no action. So my motto is stop talking, start doing. And, for people that are afraid of the spread of the coronavirus, for example, well, there's no better way to fight back than to make sure that our streets are a cleaner, greener place to live.
I think that's very well put. And you've said actually that you're going to continue doing those cleanup efforts throughout the COVID-19 outbreak. And I think that's very admirable. And
Yes.
I mean, your whole movement in general is very admirable, because it's one thing in today's political environment to point the finger at someone and say there's something that needs to be done. That's a problem that exists. It's another thing to do something about it. So when this outbreak is kind of coming out right now, does that change your movement at all?
No, not at all. Well, unfortunately, right after I'm done here with OAN, I was supposed to have an event tonight, which was canceled. But all of my cleanups in Philly, Pittsburgh, Detroit, Milwaukee, we are moving straight ahead, and we're not going to cancel any of our events. I mean, I look at the bright side, guys. We're going to be wearing gloves and masks anyway, so we might as well go out and do something great for the environment.
This is very well put. I mean, that should be on a poster somewhere. And, it's interesting to me, too, because you talk to the average American and what you're doing is undoubtedly a good thing. But I've seen you be protested. I've seen videos in different areas. I think the most recent one was San Francisco, where people were coming out and protesting you cleaning up their streets. What is that all about?
I'm an Eagle Scout. I've dedicated my life to community service, and I never thought that I would see the day that I was protested for picking up trash. And we literally were in San Francisco just doing an act of love, and people were calling me a bigot and saying, go home. And I went up to them very respectfully, and I said, will you help us pick up trash? And they kept calling me a bigot. I said, will you help us pick up trash? And they still didn't respond. But that's okay. We live in the greatest, freest country in the world. And if some people want to spend their Saturday protesting us while we're spending our Saturday doing a trash cleanup, well, that's what makes America so great, that they have the right to do that, and we have the right to do something loving.
And even when this comes to it, I mean, you speak very well about the idea that this country has things that people will take for granted, that people in other countries literally go to war for. So, I mean, in this country, too, we still have a problem, though, and you speak about it very eloquently and very elaborately on the idea of the homelessness epidemic here in the U.S. I mean, you've gone to cities, San Francisco being one, Los Angeles being another, where the homelessness epidemic is terrible. I mean, you go to big parts of the city. It's not even the Tenderloin in San Francisco or Hollywood in Los Angeles. It's all over the place for the most part. And you say that a big part of that is because politicians are looking the other way. And a lot of that sometimes comes at the idea that illegal immigrants, for example, have a priority over homeless Americans. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Well, that's the issue that, quite frankly, drives me. I've walked 63rd Street in Chicago, and I've been to West Baltimore, and I've been to San Francisco and Los Angeles. I see it. I've seen our people who are struggling and who are suffering and who are even working as homeless just to get by. And for me to see, the Democratic presidential candidates all raising their hand during the debate to give health care to illegal immigrants, it's moments like that that really make me question where we stand as a society, that we don't take care of our most vulnerable. We don't take care of our 50,000 homeless veterans, but instead we dedicate resources to illegal immigrants. And that's why I do the work that I do. I want to shine a spotlight on, unfortunately, some of the issues that are plaguing society, but in order to make it better. And when we picked up 50 tons of trash in Los Angeles at a homeless encampment, I'm very proud to say that because of that work, not only was the area that we cleaned, has it stayed clean, but 5 of the homeless people that were living there have agreed to housing. So these cleanups are not just about picking up the streets and making them clean and green again, but we're also helping to get the homeless safely into environments that are going to be much better for them.
I'm sure everybody in those communities, too, thinks the same thing. And something tells me that those protesters weren't from the area that you were cleaning up. They were probably from outside. But I advise all of our viewers to follow Scott Presler on Twitter, social media, anything. You can follow his movement, what he's doing, and you never know, he may be coming to a city near you in the near future. Scott Presler, thank you for everything that you're doing, and thank you for coming on the show tonight.